So, after 7 years, something like that, they have returned to make Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Yeah, because Radio Silence was a bit busy doing, two Scream movies, which I will still defend. I still like them. Okay, dropping it. But it took them 7 years, and they made another one. And my genuine reaction for seeing it for the first time, like when it was announced, was kind of, really? I don't think we need another one. I just don't. I don't think we need it. I think the first one, the way it ended, was nice, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this needs another. But then saw the cast and went, okay, let's. I need to see a trailer to see what they do with this. And then I did, and I went, okay, it still looks a little like unnecessary, but okay, I like what they have here. So I went and saw it, and yeah, it was pretty fun. Now, did I like it more than the first one? Well, let's see. So this one takes place immediately after the first one ended. Samara Weaving's character gets rushed to the hospital where her distant sister, who is played by Kathryn Newton, shows up, and you can tell like they have a little bit of a strain, and then both of them get kidnapped, and they're brought to this just giant, almost like a resort that is owned by David Cronenberg of all people, but his siblings and a bunch of other people are invited to basically kill them and then take over what Elijah Wood says, the world. And so then the hunt continues, but now it's more people, and we also got these two sisters together. So, all right. So, like I said, right off the bat, when I heard that they were going to do another one, I was like a bit skeptical about it. But it actually turned out a lot better than I thought it would. And so, first off, the positives are, performances are really good. I think I definitely was buying both Weaving and Newton's chemistry of them being sisters, but they have, there's definitely a strain there, and there's definitely issues, and they start working it out throughout the film. And so that I liked what was going on, and it was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of shitty, or like somebody else is like, yeah, that's kind of crappy too. So I did like that, but also some of the performances in here, like Elijah Wood, he wasn't full on Sin City creepy, but he was pretty. He was very collective, you could say. But to me, one of the standouts was, of course, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Just because it is her, and her kind of having a resurgence back into doing films, which is really cool, because I used to watch her when I was a kid on live action Scooby-Doo, and then found out she retired, I think, after Southland Tales, because oof. And so I was like, all right, that's really cool that she's kind of come back, kind of like another, like Lillard, he kind of left and then got a resurgence back, and now it's cool. So the performances I thought were very good. Another thing I thought was very good was, it comes with a Radio Silence movie, so the gore. You can definitely tell, if you watched Scream 5 and 6, a lot of the gore, while it is brutal, it's not to the level of something like, VHS or Southbound, or even, the first Ready or Not, or even Abigail. It feels a lot tamer because those movies they have a set in stone thing of what they're doing, where the other ones, you could just go just batshit crazy if you wanted. Throw everything up in the air, or rip it up, throw it up in the air like an orangutan, and just go for it. So the gore here, if you saw the first movie and you loved the end, yeah, this has the gore for you. This is all there. So there you go. That's almost like an enough said. If you liked Renaissance's previous films outside of Scream, then yeah, the gore, the blood gates and gore are just bumped up here. And I was like, there it is. There they are. It's kind of like watching a Sam Raimi horror movie after Evil Dead. It was kind of like, all right, this is going a certain way. And then there's so many spots that are pure him. It's like, there he is. That's kind of how this was. Now, the negatives for this, it could be kind of minor, I would say. First off, minor, despite me liking it, there were still some spots where I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like this is entirely necessary, but very, very minor. Like I said, I'm probably nitpicking here, because despite me saying that, well, it looked like it was unnecessary, and then you see it, and then you're like, you had fun, and then you say it again. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. So very minor, but I'm not going to ding anything for that. But the big one is that I didn't like it as much as the first one. But that tends to come with sequels as well, is that I don't really enjoy them as much as the first one. So the only most recent horror movie sequel that I liked over the first one would be Smile, because I like 2 more than 1. But that's pretty much it. So, because I didn't like Scream 7, if you saw my review for that. But, I still thought, overall, we have a sequel here where I didn't think it was, needed nor necessary, but they managed to make something fun and entertaining, and actually it made sense for what they were doing. And I did like how it continues immediately after the first one, immediately. The opening for this is actually the last minute of the first movie. So it kind of gives you that little oh, okay, so we're starting here, and then it just bleeds right into what's happening next. So I did like that. There was no 7 years later kind of thing. And I was kind of worried about that. And I was like, it's been a while since you did another one, and so I don't know about this. But the mixture of old blood, so Renaissance or Samara, mixed in with the new blood, like Kathryn Newton, I think it was very nice. It was very nicely balanced. The performances were good. The suspense of this big game of chase was pretty fun. But I didn't like it as much as the first one, nor was it still entirely necessary. But they still managed to not half-ass anything, and they still treated it with care. And that, I thought, was, if they're able to do that, then they mostly succeeded. So I'd give this a great. Like I said, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but it was still very fun. And I think, honestly, if you haven't seen the first one, well, you're probably not watching this, but I think it'll be fun if you do a double feature, watch 1 and 2 back to back, because it just bleeds into each other pretty well. So that was my main concern, or one of my main concerns, was that it's been a while since the last one. So it's like, okay, what's the time going to look like here? And the fact that they do make it immediately after the first one does help. So they managed to just not half-ass this, and they treat it nicely. And that's just awesome, because that was another big concern of mine, was that it was just going to be made just for the money, just because they could. Because, yeah, I feel like Ready or Not, it's kind of it feels like a lower tier, almost like an underground one. but they still treat it with care and had a lot of fun with it.